Hello everybody, welcome back. I'm Matt. Thanks for stopping by. Now for those of you who've been tying for any number of years, you've probably heard of Jack Gartside. Now he was from Massachusetts. He was a former teacher, a writer, a fly tyer, pretty much just an all-around adventurer. You might have seen this picture of him riding around on an inflatable giraffe. He's pretty famous for a few patterns. You might have heard of the gurgler, the Gartside gurgler. He's got one called the pheasant hopper, and this one we're doing today called the Sparrow. So what exactly is a sparrow? Well, it's a little bit debatable. Some folks say it's a nymph and some say it's a streamer. I've seen it tied as big as a 6 and as small as a 16, and it's usually either on a 2X or a 3 extra long hook. So I suppose how you're going to fish it, whether a nymph or a streamer, would kind of determine what size hook you're going to put it on. But it's a really simple tie, only a couple of materials. You got a little bit of rabbit and squirrel for a dubbed body, and then 2 feathers from Ringneck pheasant skin. You've got some of the marabou feathers off here on the side, for a tail, and then one of the rump feathers right here for a long sweatback hackle with the aftershaft feather for a big fluffy head. Now I think it's a pretty cool looking pattern. It was certainly easy to tie, it's fun to tie, and I think y'all are going to like it. So there it is in the vise, Jack Gartside's Sparrow. Now we've got a lot of options for the sizes of this. I've seen some recipes as big as a 6 and as small as a 16. So I'm going to go with let's pinch the barb on this guy right here. This is a size 10. It's a 3X long all-purpose hook. You could use a 2X long or a 3X long. And I'm going to use some tan thread in a 70 denier. And the bobbin holder I'm featuring today is the Stonfo Bob Tech. So let's catch this in and take a base down to the start of our bend. Now we do have a tail on this guy, one of these marabou feathers from the side of the ringneck pheasant cock. So the kind of brown stuff right here. And what you'll do, just preen it down till you get a little small tuft right there, about like that. I think that's going to be fine. Let's catch this in with a couple of wraps and check our length. Okay, that is a little long. Let's shorten that. That happens. Okay, let's go about right there. Okay, that's going to work for us. Now, a couple other options. I've seen this tied different ways. If you were going to weight it and you already had some weighted wraps down, you probably wouldn't want to do this step, but if you don't have it weighted, you could use this for a little bit of extra underbody. So take your thread up, not all the way up because we do have a couple more components to tie up in front of the body, but I'll just take this, give it a little spin, and I learned this from watching Barry's video. He did it like this, so just a wrap or two up here, and then snip off this excess, and we'll use that little bit of fluff right there for an underbody. It's not going to give us much, but it will give a little bit. So go ahead and take our thread back to where we're going to start our dubbing. Got a little fluff right there. Just pull that out or don't worry about it. So let's put some wax on our thread right here. And the dubbing mix, it's an olive rabbit with a little bit of natural squirrel and then a little bit of antron. So I've mixed all this up, got some scrap right there, but I've mixed this up in my coffee grinder and I'm going to put it on, and not real thick, but not a terribly thin noodle here. But we're going to dub it all the way up there to really where the front of that under feather is, the underbody feather. And it might take me a couple applications to get it up there. And I think we want to go just a little bit more on this one. Okay, I think that's going to work. Might have gone a little bit farther than I wanted to, but we can wrap this hackle on the first, a couple of millimeters of this body right here, and we'll be just fine. So for the hackle, one of these Oh, it's the rump feathers on the ringneck pheasant. It's right there at the base and the middle. Some folks will call these the spade feathers. It's got that little bit of design on it, a little bit of metallic tips. But before after you pull it out, take a look at this aftershaft feather. This little plover right here, pull that off and save that. We're going to be using that for the head in just a minute. So I pulled off all that fluff right there, and what we'll do here, we want to measure it and pick the feather so that, see how long those fibers are. We want them to come back to almost the end of the tail, I think. And I think this is going to work for us right here. Now, some folks will strip off one side of this feather, and then you could probably get 2 wraps. When I did that, and when I tied just a minute ago, it wasn't quite enough fibers. So I'm going to leave both of them on right here and see how that'll work for us. So let's go ahead and catch this in right up to there. Now this feather, it's not real strong, the stem on it, but it's not all that brittle. It's fairly pliable, and you can get a good bind on it by just putting a few tight wraps, and it will squish that stem down. So I should probably grab my hackle pliers here, but I'm gonna try to do it without. We'll see if that works. So I'm only gonna do 1, maybe 1.5 wraps. Let's see right here. Try not to let it spin on me because I want them swept back like that. And that's 1 wrap. Let's see if we can get 1 down here and catch it off on the bottom. I think we might be able to. So let's get that one in right there. And is it going to be enough, Hackle? Hard to say right now, but maybe. Okay, so 2 or 3 wraps to catch that in. Now I've got this front part to contend with, and I'm getting awful close to my eye up here, which we'll see if we can still work with that. What I'm going to do, just pull all these back and take some thread wraps back. And what this will do for me is give me room to tie in this aftershaft feather, but also get these guys laying back, which is kind of how we want. We want those feathers swept way back, those fibers. And I got a couple of stubs right there. We might want to pull those out later or not worry about them. So let's just take this aftershaft, what I just pulled off that spade feather I just used, and stripped a little bit of it off. Now this thing, it's also not really brittle, but it's certainly not strong. It's a fairly weak feather. So catch it in with a few wraps. Now we got the stem. Let's go ahead and cut this off. And just take 3-4 wraps if you can, 5 if you can get them, of this stem right here. And this is going to spin all around on you, but don't worry about it. You kind of want a big, fuzzy, crazy looking head up here. So that's 2 full wraps. Let's see, this is going to be 3 right here. And I just broke it off, so I have to do that last one again. All right, I think that's going to give us a bushy enough head right here. Let's catch this off with a couple of wraps. So we do have a bushy head right there. Before I snip that, I'm going to just pull everything back and then try to work on my head. I don't want any fibers really going up over my eye. Might get a few. We could either cinch them off or just try to snip them, maybe even bury them in our head cement. So I think we're in okay shape right here. Let's go ahead and snip this little tip of this aftershaft feather right here. Now I think we're ready for a whip finish. I'm going to get my thread right to the back of where that head is. And I'll do a 4 turns should be sufficient because I'm going to put a drop of UV resin for head cement. So that's it, really all there is to it. This hackle, I don't really like a couple of those. I would rather them be swept back a little bit. You could probably lick your fingers and pull them back and see if they'd stay, but who knows what they're going to do when the thing gets fished anyway. So that's it, little drop of head cement right there, and this guy's ready to go in my box. So I appreciate you watching, everybody. Y'all take care, and we'll see you next time.